In the question 3, we will find limits of different functions. Over here you can see these are different questions given. This is polynomial function, square root. Sorry, it's not square root, it's cube root function. This fourth one is rational function. And over here we have trigonometry. This is not trigonometry, it's inverse trigonometric functions. All different type of functions. But all of these can be easily solved in your calculators. I will show you how we can do it. Let's all take our calculators now. Here, now the first problems are very simple. Whatever value you put, you get the answer. See, because it's a polynomial, I'll just show you. You need to type it out as it is. You can't type limit in your calculator. What is there? The function that is x squared minus 3x plus 1. Now, since there's a beginning and basic problem, let's just do calc. And what is the value here? 0. Let's do 0. The answer is 1. That's it. That's the solution. What about the next one? You can directly put the not square root, cube root. Press shift and this over here. Or you can press shift and this symbol over here. And you can type in cube, that is power 3. And 2x plus 1. Now, calculate this at 2. We are getting answer 1.7. Now 1.7099 is basically cube root of 5. I'll show you how. And 5 over here is 1.7099. So this is one important thing. In your options, you won't have decimal values. But in your calculator, whatever you get is decimal value. In such cases, what you need to do is write this value somewhere in a piece of paper and write at least 4 to 6 digits. 4 is enough. Then what you do is solve all the 4 options. You might have cube root 5, you might have cube root 7 and so on. But you can change these to other options. You'll get the wrong answer. It doesn't match, right? Only one correct answer matches and that will be your solution. Now what about this one over here? Let me write cos inverse by shift and cos. That is cosine and then alpha x squared. And then close the bracket. Now calculate it at 0. Do we get the answer? Yes, we are getting. Now this is what exactly? It's 90 degrees. But look at your answer. They don't have in degrees. It's in radian. Now if you want the answer in radian, all you need to do is shift mode and click on 4. Now look over here. The answer is half pi or pi by 2. So it's up to you. If you don't have it in radian mode, your answer will be in degrees. 90 degree is equal to pi by 2. It's the same thing. You can just click on shift and mode and 4. And then the answer will be in radian. Calculate it at 0. And you get it in radian. Now what about the last one? Let's type it out. Alpha x minus 5 divided by x squared plus 4. And where do we have to calculate that? 2. And this is the answer, negative 3 by 8. Or sometimes you might get negative 0.375 and you can just approximate which is the correct answer. Now these are all straightforward direct problems, right? But what if we have problems like this? Now let me try solving this one. You have to write this out as it is, that is x squared minus again x minus 6 divided by, what do we have over here? X minus 3. Now, if I type calc and let me type in 3, what is the answer? It's a math error. We cannot solve this. Why? Because in the denominator, when you apply x of 3, it becomes 0. And whenever the denominator is 0, it's undefined. So this is a problem, right? Now what do we do in such cases? Let's click on this right or left. You'll come back to the same equation. Here you need to calculate at a number which is very close to x of 3. Now what this is, x is given as 3, but 3 doesn't work. So take two values which are very close to 3. You might think it's 2 and minus 1, right? 2 and 1. Very close. I mean not 2 and 1, sorry. 3 and 4, 2 and 4. So 2 and 4. But can we go more closer? You can consider instead of 2 and 4, 2.9 and 3.1, isn't it? Or how about this 2.999, which is literally 3, and over here instead of 3.1, 3.0001, which is literally very close to 3. So how about these values? Now let's calculate. Now we are over here, right? See, if we press 3, it's a math error. Now let's calculate at 2.999. What's the answer we are getting? It's almost 5. It's 4.999. That's 5. Let me write it down over here. For the 2.9 and left side, I'm getting 5. And what about the right side? Let me calculate it at 3.0001. It's again 5.001. So here it's again 5. Basically, what we found out is over here the limit as x, you do not need to write it only for one problem, I'm just telling you in detail. As x approaches 3 from the negative side, I'll just write this entire thing as f of x, okay? This was equal to 5. And over here again we did the limit as x approached 3 from the positive side f of x for this given fifth question. This was again 5. Since these both are equal, since limit as x approaches 3 from the negative side f of x is equal to the limit x approaches 3 from the positive side, that means it's the right side, this is equal, we can tell the limit exists, and therefore the limit of x approaching 3 means for exact value 3, f of x is equal to 5. Since we know both the values are coming very close to 5, in the exactly at 3 it is 5, that's the thing. So this is how we write it out, but you don't need to write it out. You just have to check it out directly in the calculator and choose the correct answer. Now let me do this next one. Here it is x squared plus x minus 2. And what do we have over here? X squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay. Now here we just have to type calc, and what is the value here? Instead of 1, I will have to take 0.999. I'm getting negative 3. And what about the right side? It's 1.0001, and again it's negative 3 itself. So the answer over here was 5, and over here it's minus 3. Now if it doesn't match, both the sides do not match, then no, we do not have. Now this is the calculator shortcut method. Now you can use the same thing everywhere over here and solve it. You do not need to factor or anything. You can do the factoring, it's up to you, but the easy shortcut method is possible, right? Just stick to that. Then we do the trigonometric functions. Here if you directly write sine x, and okay, it's x alpha x and close the bracket, and then we have tan x, and if we calculate at 0, what's going to happen? It's going to be a math error because tan of 0 is 0 and it's undefined here. So what can we do here? Instead of 0, now this is important. See, whenever we have say 3, we take 2.999 and 3.001. What about 1? It is 0.999 and 1.001. Now what about 0? The greater than 0 is 0.001. Now don't take here as 1.99 or something like that. It is negative 0.001. This is sign neutral. It's in the middle of positive and negative numbers. So greater than 0 is 0.001, and less than it's 0.001 but minus. That's it. So we take minus 0.001, and the answer is 0.99. It's almost equal to 1. What about the right side? We have to check both, because if they are not matching, if this was something else, now it's both the cases, it's 1, the answer is 1 here. But if it was not matching, then you should tell the limit does not exist. Now what about the right one? It's tan x divided by x, and same thing calculated at, let's take this is 0.001, and it's 1 over here calculated at minus 0. Even if you don't write 0 point, it's fine. 0.001 is the same thing, it's 1 itself. So the answer is 1. Now these are same type of problem. E is given over here by shift and ln, you get E, but I'll do the 12th one here. All you do is x squared. How do you do cosine? This is cosecant, sorry, CSC. You should know the reciprocal identities. I'll write sine I'll write sine x, cosine x, tan x. The reciprocal of tan, that is 1 divided by tan. Let me write it out over here. If we just divide this, now if we divide 1 by tan, this is cotangent, cot x. Very simple. 1 divided by cosine and 1 divided by sine. These are all called reciprocal identities. Now, many students tend to do this mistake. I've seen students write this 1 by sine is secant x. Wrong. It is cosecant x. 1 by sine is cosecant x. Don't think, okay, S. No. If it is sine, it is cosecant. Whereas if it's cosine, it is secant x. Now, this is a very important thing because I've seen students tend to do this mistake. Okay. So now here, square, that is absolutely fine. Now cosecant. So if you just square this up, that's the same thing. Okay, because this is cos squared, means the entire thing is squared. So all you write is multiply, open the bracket, divided by 1 divided by, you can't write cosecant. There is no option for cosecant, but you can write sine x, close the bracket. Now it's x alpha and x, close the bracket, and over here also close the bracket and square it up. And now what do? Calculate it at 0.00, not points, 0.001. The answer is 1. Let me calculate it at negative 0.001. The answer is 1. So answer over here would be 1. So that's the answer. Now since over here E value is there, let me solve this up as well. I'll quickly do the answer over here. It's x and E is over here, shift and ln to the power minus 2x plus 1 divided by x squared plus x. And what do we do over here is calculate it, and you can't take 0, so you should say 0.001. Now look at this value, 2.71. Just keep it in mind. Calculate minus 0.0001. And what is this? 2.71. Both are approaching 2.71. Now, if you see options, the answer is E. If you go over here, shift E to the power 1, what is it? 2.718. That is the Euler's number. In your options, you will not be given 2.718. They'll give you E value. So you must realize 2.718 corresponds to E value. And here as well, I'll do the second problem. Let's just type it out. It's 2x divided by 3 minus square root x over here plus 9. Now calculate at what? 0.001. You should put 1, and that is negative 12. And same thing, calculate at negative 0.001. And the answer is negative 12 itself. It's minus 12. That's it. And over here we get 1/4. You may not get 1/4, you will get 0.25 or 0.24449 or something like that. Very, very close to 1/4, that is 0.4. You can do one more thing. Instead of putting some values, if you do 0.001, then you might get exactly 12 as well. Sometimes you get that, but it depends, Now this is also same thing. I'll just do this one over here. It's cube of x, that is power 3, sorry, minus 64 divided by x minus 4, and calculate the limit at minus 3 point, sorry, it's not minus, 3.999, that is very close to 4. We get 48, and also calculate it at 4.0001, and you can see the value is 48 itself. If you take more approximation, see 4.000, a lot of these, we get 48. It's okay for fractions, rationals, but if it's natural logarithm, don't go to take high approximation, you might get an error. We will see such problems as well. Now this is pretty straightforward. It's just a big value, you just have to type it out. All problems work. Now what about this one here? So let us see. It's 2 divided by x. It's pretty straightforward here. Minus, there is an absolute value, right? 2 divided by absolute value, sorry, is by shift and hyperbolic functions. So that is it. And x. Now here let's calculate at negative 0.0001. What is the answer? Negative 40,000. This means it's going towards infinity. Let's see. Calculate minus zero point 0.0. I'll just increase the zeros. You can see the number also increases. It's negative infinity basically. And let's calculate over here at the positive value 0.0001. And over here you're getting 0. Are these are these correct? Now if you're calculating at 0.00 positive side, you're getting 0, whereas from the negative side you're getting minus infinity. It doesn't match, so the limit does not exist. When you're getting two different values, limit does not exist. Another thing, if you have remembered the rules of limits and continuity, whenever you are absolute value function, the limit doesn't exist. Similarly, you can do this by yourself. I'll just do this right side quickly. It's sine, and then use shift and hyperbolic functions. That is absolute value you get, and x, and then go away from that. Two lines next aside from that, or move to the right and then close the bracket, and then over here x. Calculate this at minus 0.001. What is the answer? It's minus 1. Let's calculate it at 0.0001, and it is 1. So these are the two answers. Over here does not exist, sorry. Why? Because we got minus 1 and plus 1, so it does not exist. Similarly, do the other problems by yourselves. But here now we have piecewise function 2x and x squared. Now what this means, x is less than 2. It means if you're taking any value from the left side of 2, it is given by this function 2x. So 2x, let me write it out. And since it's polynomial, everything works here. What I mean is all the value of x you can put any value of x, it doesn't get undefined because it's only the numerator. Now calculate this. I'll take it as 2 itself, okay? But understand it should be less than 2. What is the value? 4. Now don't use the same equation, change the equation. What is it? From 2 to x squared. And put the value 2 over here. Calculate it at 2. What is the answer? It's 4 itself. X squared will be 4. So both the sides it's matching. Therefore, yes, left side and the right side it's 4 and 4. Since it's matching, we can tell the limit exists because 4 from the left side and the right side. If these both match, only then it is the same answer. Now, what about over here? The same thing we do. Let's try this. All you need to do is type in the first equation, x squared plus 1, and calculate at this given value. It's minus 1. Remember the answer is 2. Remember that when we calculate x at minus 1, the answer we get is 2. So you should write somewhere over here 2. And let's try the next one. 3x plus 1. Calculate at what? Minus 1. You can just press equal to because it's the same value, or you can type it out again. Now look over here. Did we get the same values? No. One time we got over here positive, right? Positive 2 and negative 2. It's not the same. It does not exist. So here the limit is undefined. Basically, it's not there. So this is how we can solve it up. And what about over here? You can do the same thing, but there are three values. Check over. Okay, now what this means is for this and this function, you have to use the minus 1. Let's try 2x plus 1. Calculate it at minus 1. What is the answer? Negative 1. So here the answer is minus 1, but over here the limit is 3, so it does not exist at this point. Limit at x is negative 1 does not exist, okay? It does not exist. Can you see that? Why? Because they do not match. Because over here the first one we got minus 1, whereas the second one is 3. So if you had got 3 over here, then it exists. Here, if you're doing greater than 1, that means 1, yes, it will exist because we both will get 3 and 3. But look at the question. They have clearly asked x is approaching minus 1, not 1. So you have to just use minus 1 and minus 1, these two equations, and it does not exist. Same way you can try this by yourself. Now here they have asked 1. So look over here. If I calculate it at 1, what's the answer? 3. Yes, these both match, so it exists. Since here 3 and 3 we are getting both the sides, it's the same thing and it exists. The limit is there over here. Now these are again similar problems. We have done these before as well. Let's just write it out. Instead of h, type x and then close the bracket and take the power 3. minus 1 divided by h, and calculated at what? Negative 0.001, and over here we're getting 3. Let's calculate it at positive 0.001 as well. Again we are getting what? 3. So both answers are there. Limit is 3. And over here, please do the same thing. Just put it in the calculator and you would get the answer. And lastly, we have tan. I'll just quickly do this. Tan x is by alpha x, close the bracket, and phi x calculated at 0.0001. And over here, we are getting 0.2. That is 1 by phi, 1/5. And let's try it at negative 0.001. It's again 0, so it's 1/5, or 0.2 is basically 1 by 5, so that is the answer. So this is how you can easily solve this particular question. That's the end of question 3. Since it's an MCQ part, I've done only the shortcut methods and you can absolutely follow these shortcuts.